Today's January 29th, 2018, and today I'm celebrating my 12 years of clean time, 12 years free from drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, the lifestyle, and we're here in Santa Clara County. We came over to the new courthouse to see Judge Manley. He's one of the judges that back in my past, he used to arrest me every time he had the opportunity because I was failing treatment programs. So he's a drug treatment program judge. And today, in honor of my 12 years, I want to come to the courthouse to see if maybe I can get an opportunity to stand in front of him and to thank him for being one of the persons that helped me be the man that I am today.
Ooh.
From age 18 to the age of 32, I used to get used to walking into buildings like this. This is Department 61 where Judge Manley resides. This is a new building, but before here, he used to be at the other courthouse at the Family Justice Center, and but I used to come in through other doors. This time, I'm coming in through this door.
What are you doing, Armando?
How you doing, Judge? Thank you. Today I celebrate 12 years of clean time.
12 years.
So I just wanted
Our program before that.
Yes, I was in your program for about, it took me like 7 years to graduate your program.
Right.
But I just
I
wanted,
remember the name well.
yeah, I just wanted to take the time to come over and thank you, Judge, for being in my life and being that person to help me get my life straight. Since I left treatment here, I graduated college and I worked at Pathways for about 8 years, and then I got a job at BTA.
Good for you. Show what you can do if you try.
Thank you, Judge.
Good. Keep doing well.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, good luck. Thanks for coming down.
How you feel?
I'm kind of nervous and worried and scared, but I had an opportunity. It took a while, but I had an opportunity to go in and to speak to the judge who I was in his courtroom for like 7 years, back and forth. Again, I wanted to just come to thank one of the persons that stood behind me when I had a lot of trouble back in my life, when I was using drugs and alcohol and I was committing a lot of crime. And he was one of the persons that was there behind me. At that time, I didn't know that he was there to help me. I thought he was probably one of the enemies, and I treated him like the police. But 12 years later, now I understand that he was one of the driving forces in me getting clean and me becoming successful in who I am today. And I got a lollipop.
Lollipop. Go ahead, Joey.
Well, I can remember the day that I graduated, right? Going back and forth to court, going back to forth in court, going back to forth in court. And, there was a lot of times when I would sit in front of the judge and, he would tell me some of the suggestions that they say you should do. And of course, I accepted them there at the time because I wanted to get out of court. But I think deep in my heart, I really did want it to get clean. And it was hard for me. But so that was kind of like the inner fight with me. But I remember going back and forth for almost 6-7 years. And finally, when I did come close to completing the course, I didn't realize at the time, but when the judge had asked me if I completed some of the things that he asked me to do, and I said yes, and I showed him proof, documentation, classes, probation, checked in. I remember him, taking his little eye patch that he has and kind of adjusting it and looking at the paperwork that was in front of him, and he was kind of amazed, and he said, "Armando Barbosa, today we're gonna graduate you." And I got surprised. I was like, wow, I'm gonna graduate. He said, "Come on up here, big guy, and let me give you a hug." So I got out of my seat and I went up to give him a hug. And then, he was saying, this program, if you do what's suggested, is anywhere from about, 7 to 11 months, just depending on what your case is. And he said, "But it only took you 7 years." And everybody in the courtroom started laughing. And it was true. It took me 7 years. And I came around and he gave me a hug. We took a picture. And that was the last day that I remember going into his courtroom, dealing with my drug addiction, because I started following suggestions. I got a higher power in my life, who I call God, who has always been in my life, but I wasn't utilizing him. I surrounded myself with different characters, men of God, men who are doing the same thing, trying to get clean, stay in recovery. I stayed busy. I went to school. I got my GED inside when I was incarcerated, and then I managed to, during the time I was in treatment and out of treatment, I went and got a college degree and studying alcohol and drug certification. And I was there for about 10 years and ended up getting a job with the Valley Transportation Authority, which is a government-set agency here in Santa Clara County. We're going to talk about one of the tweaker tales. These are the tales that I tell so well. Back when we can laugh about it now, but back then it was serious. I think I was up for about the summer, about 3 months. I think I slept maybe about 4 nights in 90 days. About 4 nights in 90 days. I don't know how I was doing it, but I was doing it. And I was with a friend of mine, and we're not going to say names because we're going to still respect their privacy. But I remember my dad had a compadre, and the compadre used to come to the house a lot. And I remember the compadre was going to go to Mexico one day, and he said, "Hey, compa, I'm going to be taking off to Mexico, but I'm going to leave my car here at the house." And he left it across the street, man. And the first thing I did as soon as he left was I took it. I grabbed the keys and I started mashing around the neighborhood with it. Started picking up a bunch of homeboys. We were running drugs with it and committing crime in his car. He was gone for like 2-3 weeks. And finally, we were up for, those weeks, no sleep. And I remember I was driving the car and we were coming down from the mountains over here. Down up by Alum Rock. We were coming down from the mountains. I don't even know what we're doing in the mountains, but I was with my homeboy and he was right here on the side of the car. And I can remember I was driving and I was like, man, I guess I started to fall asleep behind the wheel, and I was falling asleep behind the wheel, and I was falling asleep behind the wheel. And my homie that was on the side of me, he kind of tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, "Hey homie, you want me to drive?" And I took one look at him, and he was like tweaked out of his mind, man. His eyeballs were fluttering, and and his tongue, like he didn't have control of his tongue, and he was like this. He was like that, and I was like, "Oh my God, this guy looks like a lizard and shit." And then he was like, "Hey homie, you want me to drive?" And I looked at him and I said, "You fucking kidding me? Have you seen how you look right now?" But I didn't say that, right? I was like, "No, I got this, I'm good." And he goes, "Well, suit yourself," right? And he started, doing his little facial things. And I kid you not, man, maybe we were getting close to the house, and as soon as we turned, we were maybe about half a mile from the house, and as soon as I turned down the street, man, I must have fucking fell asleep, man, and I hit about 6 cars in that street, and I crashed out and I hit the cars, boom, 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 boom. And I ended up waking up like, what the fuck? And I looked at my homeboy, and he was just sitting there all cool like this, right? His facial expressions, and he was like this. And he said, I told you should have let me drive. Oh, fuck that. I think one of my biggest soft spots that I have today is seeing that one addict or that one alcoholic or just that one person, with it could be man or female, that's still actively living in what we know today as the disease of addiction. I have a really big soft spot for that person, and truly it's kind of like a love-hate relationship. The love part is I want to love them and let them know that the love is real, as far as there is help. You can change your life, you know, if you follow these suggestions that we do. And I wish that I can just take that part of me that I understand now because I learned through experience, and I wish that I could just install it in them and say, here you go, get clean, here's your life. But realistically, that's not how we get clean. The hate part in my relationship is, you know, I see a lot of them out there, the addicts, and when I say they, I mean me. You know, I see them not trying, not doing anything for themselves, looking for handouts, you know, trying to get high on another person's dime. And that's the hate part that I'm talking about. And when I see that, I kind of like, man, I can't stand that dude. Get out of here. But I'm quick to judge, you know. Sometimes I say I don't judge, but then I'm human, so, and sometimes, you know, I do judge. And I gotta just remember that I was once that person that I'm looking at, and that you know, I gotta remember that that at some point in time there was a lot of people, not just one person, that helped me out. Family, friends, my mom stood by me, my family stood by me, judge stood by me, and I gotta remember that. Because at some point in time in my life, and they're not just one, but many, grace and mercy was shown to me. And I got to continue to tap into that source and show that next person that grace and mercy can be given. And continue to be a real life human role model for the next person who's having trouble with drugs and alcohol. But these are the things that keep me clean today. I get up, and the first thing I do is I give my life back to my higher power, who I call God or Jesus Christ. Yours can be whoever you decide your higher power is. Number 2, I continue to go to meetings on a daily, a weekly, a monthly basis. I don't leave that meeting set era. You can go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. You can go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. You can go to any anonymous meeting that you feel. And it doesn't have to be an anonymous meeting. You can find a church. You can go to somewhere where something's good. Get into school. Go back to school. Take a cooking class. Just something that's going to keep your mind occupied for that hour or for that one time during the week. So at least you know during the week you got something to look forward to. I got to go to class on Tuesday. And maybe you'll be like, I can't go out tonight because I got school tomorrow. So something that's going to keep your mind busy. So I keep my mind occupied. I have a mentor in my life. I utilize him. I call him my sponsor. I have a spiritual sponsor. I have a life mentor. And I continue working, and I continue educating myself, educating my mind. I'm looking to see what school I'm going to go to next, what degree I want to get, what certificate I want to participate in, and I just stay busy and I don't give up. That's it. Another day clean, one day at a time.